Ever since the first Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer dropped, there's been endless speculation and worry about how much the game will cost. Industry analysts, investor oriented media outlets, and marketing experts have all been floating the idea that GTA 6 could launch at a $100 price tag. The main reason why people are taking these speculations seriously is because Take Two Interactive, the holding company behind Rockstar Games and 2K, led the charge in raising the standard price of games from $60 to $70 back in 2020, starting with NBA 2K21. Because Take Two has such a huge influence over the industry, many AAA publishers are quietly hoping that GTA 6 does launch at $100 because if Take Two does indeed decide on a $100 price point, it gives these companies an excuse to follow suit and push game prices to an absurd new normal. And of course, in typical greedy corporate fashion, every time players push back against this, the usual talking points come out. You've probably heard them. Games are more expensive to make now, or if you adjust for inflation, $60 in the 1990s would be over $100 today. But honestly, those arguments are absurd once you look a little deeper. They sound reasonable on the surface, but they completely ignore how the gaming industry has changed. So let's break down those claims one by one and see why they don't actually justify the $100 price tag. Let's start with the claim that games are more expensive to make now. This claim was the main thing used by Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick in an interview with Rebecca Valentine, justifying the price hike. He said, and I quote, "There hasn't been a price increase for frontline titles for a really long time, despite the fact that it cost a great deal more to make those titles." Then he added, which in my personal opinion is the funniest part of the statement, "And we think the value we offer consumers and the kind of experience you can only really have on next generation consoles that the price is justified." But it's easy to say that when you're delivering extraordinary quality, and that's what our company prides itself on doing. On surface level, this is true. Budgets have grown, games today have larger teams, more advanced graphics, bigger worlds, even motion captured performances. However, this argument about games being more expensive to make completely ignores the way in which games earn money nowadays. Back in the early 2000s, studios relied mostly on initial sales. This involved buying the disc once and that was it. But today you've got microtransactions, DLCs, battle passes, and in-game stores that generate revenue long after its first sale, and even on some occasions, surpassing the initial sales entirely. Many of those games make more money post launch than they ever did from the initial price tag of $60. So, if publishers are really making billions through the ongoing monetization, it doesn't make sense to pretend they need to charge players even more upfront. The cost argument falls apart when you realize that development expenses aren't the issue, it's corporate spending priorities. Money goes into a whole lot of necessary stuff like celebrity cameos, ultra realistic detailed players didn't ask for and barely notice, and unnecessary marketing cost and the big villain unrealistic investor expectations, whilst players foot the bill. Another funny thing to address is the claim Strauss Zelnick made in his justification of the $70 price tag increase from $60 is him saying the value offered to consumers and the experience on next gen consoles justifies the price tag. First of all, he's being vague about the terms value and next gen experience. What do those terms even mean? Because for those of you who forgot, he's making this argument as a justification for the price increase from $70 using NBA 2K21. NBA 2K21 launched in September 2020 on the PS4 and Xbox One and launching on the next gen a few months later. If his argument involves the next gen experience, he's also saying that you can only get this on the next gen consoles. So it wouldn't make sense for him to launch it on the last gen consoles. That immediately disproves his point about it being a unique next gen experience, since obviously it exists on the last gen consoles. Another term he brings up is value. What exactly is the value? Because there is no graphics improvement, from previous entries. There are reused face scans and minimal changes in gameplay. There is simply no value, just a higher price. On top of that, it has way more microtransactions than before, to the extent of it feeling like the average cash grab mobile game. So there's absolutely no value offered. Just to put things into perspective, all of this was used to justify a $10 price increase from $60 to $70. Even that hike was absurd when you look at the actual arguments behind it. So when we start hearing talks about pushing that price all the way up to $100, it takes that absurdity to a whole new level. Another point you hear often, which here being brought up, is inflation. And this argument really goes in hand with the previous one, but it fails for the exact same reasons I mentioned earlier. The way games earn money is completely different, with ongoing monetization, digital distribution, and recurring revenue models. Using inflation as a justification doesn't hold up. With all that said, it's clear that none of these justifications actually hold up under scrutiny. Players should be made aware of these talking points in order to not let greedy AAA game devs, whose main priority is their shareholders and not the quality of their games. The reality is that the push for higher prices isn't about sustainability, it's about profitability. The $70 price increase was never about value or next gen experiences, and the $100 price tag won't be either. It's about conditioning players to accept more for less, while the same corporations and pocket records profits. Oh fuck! I started here. Okay, yeah, never mind. Games used to be about creating experiences worth your time. Now they're about creating systems to keep you spending. And if you players don't draw the line, $100 won't be the ceiling, it will be the new floor. If you enjoy this breakdown and want to see more content that challenges the industry narrative, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. It really helps keep the channel going. So later. And oh yeah, sorry about my speaking tone or pace. This is my first video, so go easy on me, alright?